Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am absolutely thrilled to be sitting here with a man who truly put a dent in the universe. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
I'm Steve Jobs. I'm an optimist who believed that people with passion can change the world for the better. I spent my life at the intersection of the humanities and technology, trying to build tools that would empower the individual.
A legend. Now, let's take it back to the beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on February 24th, 1955, in the beautiful city of San Francisco, California.
And what was your given name at birth?
My birth parents named me Abdul Latif Jandali, but I was adopted almost immediately by two wonderful people, Paul and Clara Jobs. They named me Stephen Paul Jobs.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
The name was chosen by my biological father, who was from Syria. However, the story of my life really began with Paul and Clara. They had made a promise to my biological mother that they would send me to college, a promise that shaped much of my early path.
What was your hometown like growing up?
We moved to Mountain View, right in the heart of what would become Silicon Valley. It was a magical place in the late 50s and 60s. It was filled with engineers from companies like Hewlett-Packard. Every garage had someone tinkering with something electronic. It was the perfect playground for a curious mind.
What was your family life like?
My father, Paul, was a machinist and a real craftsman. He taught me the importance of doing things right, even the parts people couldn't see. My mother, Clara, was kind and supportive. They always made me feel special, like I was chosen.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a bit of a handful. I was bored in school and liked to play pranks. I actually got sent home a few times. I was a loner in many ways, but I was always looking for something that made sense to me.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
I don't know if I had many typical fears. I was mostly afraid of being ordinary or stuck in a life that didn't allow for creativity.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I didn't have a specific title in mind. I just knew I wanted to build things. I loved the idea of combining art and science.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I loved electronics and building things in the garage with my dad. In high school, I joined the electronics club and spent a lot of time at HP, where I even got to meet Bill Hewlett.
What was your first job?
My first real job in the industry was at Atari. I was a technician, and it was incredible to see the early days of video games.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I think it was when I realized that most of the people running things weren't necessarily smarter than I was. They just had a different perspective. I realized the world was built by people no smarter than you or me, and you could change it.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Dropping out of Reed College. It felt like a failure to some, but it allowed me to drop in on classes that actually interested me, like calligraphy. That calligraphy class is why the Mac has beautiful typography today.
What was your biggest break?
Meeting Steve Wozniak. Woz was a genius, the first person I met who knew more about electronics than I did. Together, we started Apple in my parents' garage.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Finding the money to build the first Apple I boards. We had to sell my Volkswagen bus and Woz's programmable calculator just to get the parts.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. Even when I was pushed out of Apple in 1985, I didn't quit. I started Next and Pixar. It turned out to be the most creative period of my life.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I would look in the mirror every morning and ask, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? If the answer was no, for too many days in a row, I knew I needed to change something.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I think I would have ended up as a poet or an artist in Florence.
What was your life like before fame?
It was simple. I spent time in India seeking enlightenment, lived in a commune for a while, and walked across town for free meals at the Hare Krishna temple. It was a time of searching.
How did relationships change after success?
It's a challenge. Success can make you more demanding because you want everything to be perfect. But I eventually found a wonderful balance with my wife, Lorene, and my children.
Did fame bring happiness?
Fame is just a byproduct. Doing great work, that's what brings happiness.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The loss of privacy. I always valued my family time and tried to keep that part of my life separate from the public eye.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People often thought I was just a businessman or a marketing guy. I always saw myself as a product person first.
What was your darkest moment?
Being fired from Apple, the company I started. It was devastating at the time, but it was the best thing that could have happened to me because it freed me to enter a new era of creativity.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I regretted not being there more for my eldest daughter, Lisa, in her early years. We worked hard to repair that relationship later on.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
People often saw my intensity as anger. In reality, it was just a deep, burning passion for excellence. I couldn't stand B players or bozo products.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
The launch of the next computer didn't go as planned commercially. I handled it by pivoting the company towards software, which eventually led to the operating system that brought me back to Apple.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It allowed me to not worry about money, which is a gift. But I never let it change my values or my focus on design and simplicity.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My father, Paul, for his craftsmanship, and Edwin Land, the founder of Polaroid, who is a hero of mine for how he blended art and science.
What was life like in your final years?
They were filled with incredible work, the iPhone, the iPad, and a lot of quiet time with my family. I felt very lucky.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was very focused on the design of the new Apple campus, the quote-unquote spaceship, and making sure Apple would thrive long after I was gone.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on October 5th, 2011, at my home in Palo Alto, California.
And for the record, what happened?
I had been battling a rare form of pancreatic cancer for several years.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was a fruitarian for a long time, which is actually where the name Apple came from. I had just come back from an apple orchard and thought the name sounded fun and spirited.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
That I didn't shower. In my early days at Atari, there was a bit of a legend about my hygiene because I believed my diet made it unnecessary. My coworkers disagreed.
What was your most unique habit?
I used to walk around barefoot quite a lot, even in the office. It helped me think.
What was your favorite food?
A simple, perfectly ripe apple. Or a great bowl of plain cereal.
Did you have a favorite restaurant?
I loved Kaigetsu, a Japanese restaurant in Menlo Park. The precision and simplicity of the food were inspiring.
What was your favorite book?
Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I read it every year.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Bill Gates and I had a very famous, complicated relationship. We were rivals, but we also had a deep respect for each other. We built the industry together.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
When we were designing the original Macintosh, I insisted that the circuit board look beautiful, even though no one would ever see it. The engineers thought I was crazy, but I told them a great carpenter doesn't use a piece of bad wood for the back of a cabinet.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Probably the Antenna Gate press conference. We were all so stressed, but I walked out and just said, "We're not perfect. Phones aren't perfect. We all know that." It was such a human moment in the middle of a tech storm.
Did you ever prank someone?
Woz and I used to build blue boxes to make free long-distance phone calls. We once called the Vatican, and Woz pretended to be Henry Kissinger.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I bought a yacht called Venus, though I never got to see it finished. It was designed with the same minimalist aesthetic as an Apple store.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Don't settle. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Steve, this has been incredible. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to reflect. Life is short, and we only get to do a few things well. I hope everyone listening finds that one thing that makes them want to get out of bed in the morning and change their corner of the world. Thank you, Calvin. This was fun.
Thank you, Steve. We've just spent time with the man who revolutionized how we communicate, work, and play. From the garage in Los Altos to the global stage. It's been a masterclass in passion and persistence. And that wraps up another conversation from beyond the grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.